Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Kashif Kamran, AAA expert tutor with a focus on 45 days exam strategy for the AAA paper for December 2025 exam. Now, while I'm conducting this session, the ACCA September 2025 exam results are also announced. Now, that means a lot of time the students appearing for the December 2025 exams are waiting for the September 25 exam results to be announced because they've given a paper in September and they want a clear focus whether they have passed it or failed it before they can give a very clear focus to the paper they're appearing for December. Now that means the students who are appearing for AAA post September 25 exam results will be sitting down with a more clear focus to devise a strategy to pass the AAA paper. And unfortunately, if any student has flunked in the September 25 exams, you also need to devise a timetable for what you should be doing over the next 45 days. So in both cases, this particular focus for the 45 days exam strategy is really beneficial for the AAA students appearing for the December 25 exams. Just let's open up this 45 days exam strategy. The first thing is self-evaluation, which to me holds the key. Now, the results are out, or you have flunked the AAA paper, or you are appearing for the AAA paper for the first time, but you are waiting results for the paper you have given in September. Now, with everything being cleared, the results are being announced. You know the scenario for the December 25 exam paper. Doing your self-evaluation, where are you standing today, is important. Because to me, each one of you have a unique set of circumstances. Some of you might be appearing for a single paper in December. Some might be appearing for two or three. Some of you might be repeating the AAA paper. Some of you might be giving it for the first time. Some of you might be doing jobs, and some of you might be full-time students. So each one of you have some unique characteristics, and you know your challenges. How much time can you give a day, in a day? How much time can you give over a week? Which time suits you to study? You know the answers well to these questions, and you need to carry out your self-evaluation. You need to devise your own timetable which suits you best. So rather than I telling you the timetable for the next 45 days, it is your responsibility utmost to self-evaluate yourself, to self-appraise yourself in terms of your standing today, and then devise a timetable which can lead you to success in the December 2025 exam. You need to find the gaps. You need to find what's still left, what you still need to do, either in terms of knowledge or in terms of practice. And in that way, you will definitely be building upon a timetable or a study plan or a study approach which is good for you. Now, having said that, I will be sharing with you, in terms of my experience, what you should be doing over the next 45 days. Let's open up the discussion and focus on the exam strategy you should be adopting for over the next 45 days. Number one, the results of your self-evaluation. That is important. And the results will play a crucial part to know what is still left to be covered, what you still need to do, because each one of you will have a different answer to the results of the self-evaluation. And that definitely means you know the gaps. You know the gaps to be filled up. And according to that, a timetable would be essential. So develop a timetable accordingly. Number two, revision of the key topics. What are key topics in AAA? I will be sharing with you some key technical articles which to me are important and you should not ignore them. And why you should be reading those articles would be discussed as well. And what are key topics which you should be focusing on apart from the technical articles? And number two, three, sorry, practice. Quality of practice, not quantity. I'll tell you what quality means and how many past papers would I recommend you to do over this next 45 days. What are key questions apart from the number of past papers you need to do? Examiner reports, are they really important when you sit down to practice, and the mock exam? So let's open up the discussion. Let's first start with revision of the key topics and then move on to the practice and see what sort of things you need to cover inside each to pass. Let's first open up with revision of the key topics and what sort of an exam strategy would you be devising to pass. Now, if you're well versed with the syllabus for AAA, which starts from syllabus area A and ends at syllabus area G, you know there are 7 syllabus areas in AAA, and there are hundreds of topics inside the AAA syllabus. Which of them are important? Which of them are extremely important? Which of them plays a crucial part in your 100 marks paper? Let's quickly scan a list. So you can take a printout of this. You can use it as a checklist. You can self-assure yourself that I've done these key topics. Money laundering, knowing the stages of money laundering and the ND money laundering policies of an audit firm. Group auditor versus component auditor, knowing the responsibility of the group auditor, knowing the responsibility of the principal auditor, knowing who is a significant component, what is the definition of a significant component, and what is the responsibility of a component auditor in terms of having a liaison or an effective communication with the group auditor. Outsourcing and its impact on audit. Auditor responsibility for opening balances, laws and regulations, and fraud in the audit of the financial statement. So knowing the auditor responsibilities. Skepticism, where the auditor should demonstrate skepticism, in what areas of the audit you should be demonstrating skepticism. Auditor liability as a knowledge topic. Joint audit advantages and disadvantages. Audit committee role in the process of audit. Planning matters for the first year audit. A couple of times we've seen question in the question number 1, the 50 marks question for 6 to 8 marks, asking you what sort of planning matters would you consider being a first year audit? What planning considerations would you be adding upon being a first year audit? Using the work of an expert and even the internal auditor. So you should be knowing the prerequisites of using the work of an expert. You should be knowing the prerequisites of using the work of internal auditor. So you should have a sound knowledge in these areas. Moving further, business risk, that's extremely important, but that's an area which will come through practice. More practice and you're brilliant in business risk. Same goes with risk of material misstatement and audit risk. You don't need any knowledge. It's more about application. It's more about past papers. Audit procedures, again, practice. Ethical and professional issues, practice, practice, practice. The more you do, the better, because there are a lot of repetitions in ethical and professional issues. If you've done a couple of past papers around ethical and professional issues, you will be good at. Quality management issues, that has become important over the last 2 years or more since the changes have come in quality management standards, replacing the quality control standards. Acceptance decision for a new client or an engagement from a client. You should be very well versed in practice management, the practice management syllabus area, which as a student. Commenting on the accounting matters, we know a lot of time the examining team asks you to comment on the accounting matters, particularly in an audit report question, particularly in an audit evidence question. So you should be good on accounting treatments. You should be well versed in accounting treatments. You should know the accounting treatment well to comment on. Evidence in the working paper file. Then for the other assignment, you should be knowing sustainability assurance, due diligence, review of prospective financial information, and forensic audit. We are not saying these are important areas which will come in the December 25 exam. That is not this list. This is the key areas we have in AAA syllabus, and you should have done each one of them as an assurance, as a reasonable assurance that you have covered the greater amount of the syllabus. So this is not a list of important topics to come in December 25. This is holistically a scan of the important topics we have in AAA syllabus. So at least you take a reasonable assurance after going through each one of them that have covered the major chunk of the syllabus. Audit report, focusing on opinions, focusing on paragraphs like CAM, like MURGC. You should be very good on that emphasis of a matter paragraph. Opinions, going concern. You should be very clear on going concern. Report to those charged with governance, the sort of matters you communicate to TCWG. You should be very clear on that as well. Key technical articles you should be focusing on, you should be reading, you should be going through. 4 exam technique articles on the AAA website. Number 1, Ethics in AAA exam, guiding you how to write a good ethics answer. Approaching the Section A question in AAA, telling you how to approach the 50 marks question and what sort of expectation the marking team has from the 50 marks question. Reading through Exam Technique Part 1, Business Risk, to know how to write a business risk answer, and then reading through the Exam Technique Part 2, Audit Risk and risk of material misstatement, to know how to write an answer on risk of material misstatement. These are wonderful exam technique articles giving you exam techniques with examples, how to write, what to write, and the marking scheme. Apart from these 4 exam technique articles, you will be covering 11 technical articles, starting first with ISSA 5000 ED around sustainability. You will be covering Assurance on Sustainability Information Part 1 and Part 2. These are 2 articles. Quality Management Part 1 and Part 2. Audit of Less Complex Entity, recently introduced, a more recent article. You should focus on that. Audit report to TCWG, going concern, ISA 600 revised group audit, data analytics, auditor liability. So you should be going through this list of article as minimum, as an assurance that you've gone through the major part, you've covered the major part, you've not missed on something important alongside the key topics I have recommended you earlier, which gives you a reasonable assurance of a better syllabus coverage. So this is knowledge, what you should focus on over the next 45 days in terms of devising a strategy. Now we know AAA is not a theoretical paper. It's a paper based upon case study. So theory alone will not help you pass. It's practice, and the practice of the past paper, an ample amount of practice. Let's see what sort of a strategy you need to adopt for practice. Practice before exams over the next 45 days. Quality practice before exam, not quantity. I just see students running after number of questions. No, quality of question. What is quality? Recent 7 past papers on the ACCA practice platform. March, June 25, September, December 24, March, June 24, September, December 23, March, June 23, December 22, and September 22. Along with that, the pre-December 25 mock, which ACCA will be releasing. 7 recent exam and 1 mock. That's 8. In each of the paper, you have 3 questions. So 8 threes are 24. You're doing 24 questions, which are good enough to do that assures that you focused on quality. If you want to go behind September 22, you can, but first make a target that I'll do these 8 papers, 7 recent, 1 mock, before I think about going beyond September 22 into the older papers. When you're doing these 7 papers, particularly for the March June 25 paper, and particularly for the September December 25 paper, please do read the examiner report before attempting or after writing the answer. But you should read the examiner report so that you know the reasons why student fail or the issues which are concerning for the marker. Read the examiner report, underline, number the issues, the concerns, the negative feedback of the marking team in the examiner report so that you know what are issues, what are problems, and you're not repeating them. You're not repeating them in the practice you do later or in your real exam. So please, please, please do read through the examiner reports, two of them for March, June 25 and September, December 24. Once you know the issues why students fail by reading through the examiner reports, make a summary, identify in your answer you did whether you have done the same mistakes. So I would prefer that you write the answer first for the March, June 25 paper. Once you've written the answer, open up the examiner report, read the examiner report, identify the issues, make a summary of the issues, and then see your answer. That in my answer, do I have something which I have identified from the examiner report? You will do a self appraisal of your own answer before you submit the answer to any of the tutor for giving a feedback. So in this way, you can really improve upon the quality of your answer building for AAA. So 7 recent exams plus the mock exam. To me, this is the quality of practice you should be focusing on for the next 45 days with examiner reports. Key questions. Apart from the 7 recent papers, what are key questions on a topic-wise basis? Key questions for business risk. Look at the screen in front of you. There are 5 key questions in front of you for business risk. I'm not reading through it. You can just take a screenshot. You can download this and take a printout. But these are questions on business risk, which you should be doing. Questions on audit risk and ROM. You can see the questions on your screen from September, December 24 down to September 22. I've given the questions and the marks and what is important in that question. For example, in September, December 24, the important question was why goodwill is a significant ROM and the procedures on goodwill. For example, in March, June 24, the question was justify why each of the following is a significant ROM. For example, operating license, operating segment, oil and gas extraction. We know the recent types of questions are coming on why this is an important risk. So in a question in March, June 24, why this, and this is an important risk. So these questions are coming more habitual. The more recent papers you do, you will have a better idea of the types of questions which are now popping up from audit risk and risk of material misstatement, and you're better worse. If you're doing old questions on audit risk and ROM, that's not the exam reality anymore. So please take a screenshot of this picture as well, so you know the key questions to do from audit risk and ROM. Same goes with key questions on ethical issues and quality management in front of your screen. For quality management, these are the questions which you should be doing. And these are questions now for ethical and professional issues. You can again just take a screenshot and ensure you're going through these questions as key questions for these topics. They might be within the recent 7 papers. They might be out of the recent 7 papers, but these are key questions. Key questions for syllabus area E, which is completion and reporting stage of the audit. These are the questions, 6 questions on your screen, which are extremely important from syllabus area E, completion and reporting stage. Again, you can take a screenshot and or take a printout, but these are questions you should do. Again, they might be within the 7 papers or out of the 7 papers, but you have to do them. And finally, for other assignments, syllabus area F. These are the questions for syllabus area F, other assignments. Again, 6 of them you have to do. And each of these questions have been carefully chosen as they're extremely important or very challenging. And finally, for the other syllabus areas, miscellaneous syllabus areas, these are the questions you should be focusing on your screen. Another 6 questions. So these are the questions you should be focusing on for miscellaneous areas like data analytics for the group auditor, impact of outsourcing on planning, auditor responsibility, planning matters for initial audit engagement. So these are more knowledge-based areas in AAA. So please ensure you devise a 45-day strategy after a careful self-evaluation. You devise a strategy for knowledge. You devise a strategy for the key areas. Have I finished them off? You devise a strategy for reading through the articles, the exam technique, the technical. You devise a strategy for doing the 7 most recent exam, 2 latest examiner reports, 1 mock exam, and then going over the key questions from each syllabus area so that you have a reasonable assurance that I'll pass the December 2025 exam for AAA. I hope this 45 days exam strategy will be beneficial for all of you preparing for the December 25 exam. Your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from this session and wishing you all the best of luck.